Man, that last video escalated quickly. What's going on, everybody? It's Lamar with MF and Research, and once again I'm stepping out of my comfort zone and doing something a little different than what I normally do. So my plan tonight was to sit out here with my cigar EDC and have a nice cigar while the kids and the wife are in the bed, and take some time and respond to some of the comments that were on my video about switching from Android to Apple. I was going to type them all up and all that stuff and reply to each of the comments like I like to do, but I thought it'd be fun to kind of group them all up and talk about them in a video. So I'm going to do that. I don't have a lot of stuff planned. I don't have a lot of B-roll or anything like that. It's just me, my notepad, my Rocketbook, and we're going to just kind of go through the notes, and they kind of fit basic areas, so we're going to just kind of group them up. One of the first things that came up was, why didn't I try like OnePlus or some of the other Android manufacturers? At the time, I just hadn't tried any of them. I think I had an Asus phone in the past. I had a Note 4 back in the day. I think that's about it. I was looking at the OnePlus, I think the 8 or the 9 at the time. I can't remember which one was out at the time the 12 came out. So I was thinking about that one too, but I ended up deciding on the iPhone. Looking back at my reasons, accessories were a big deal with that. Plus, one of the things is I keep my phones for at least 2 years. So I just haven't had dozens of phones. Nothing against anybody who gets a new phone every year or every 6 months or whatever the case is. I'm just not like that. Once I get a phone, I kind of stick with it for a while and kind of see what works and what doesn't. There was a couple mentions on privacy. And it's kind of and I think one of the comments responded to it and said, it's kind of a 6 and 1 half a dozen the other. Do you trust Google? Do you trust Apple? Which one do you feel more comfortable with your data? So, I mean, there's really nothing you can really do about that either way. So, kind of a wash for me on that one. Another interesting thing that came up when I talked about the ecosystem in Samsung laptops, and it was even something I learned a little bit more about. The Galaxy Book is a better laptop than I thought. One thing I will say, just from my quick searching and comparisons, I think once Apple came out with the M1, M2, and M3, it kind of made a different ball game comparing battery life, cooling, and cost per performance. And for me, that's probably the biggest factor in the laptop area. And for me, I don't even have a MacBook. I use my Mac Mini. I think I got it for $400 or $500, and for that price, I haven't seen anything that compares to that for me. And so I'm just rolling with that, and that was kind of like one of the deciding things for me. So that was fun. So talking about the apps, a good example of the App Store. Yes, there are more apps, but it doesn't matter if you can't find an app that does what you wanted to do, or a particular app that you're looking for. It doesn't matter. So at the time, I think I was looking into getting in productivity stuff. I was looking for Todoist, and at the time, Todoist wasn't on Android. It was only on Apple. So that's one of those examples where they prioritize Apple, and I was running into that a few times looking for certain apps, and just knowing that the updates usually came to Apple first on what I was reading. So that was one of those things that concerned me. So if it's not a deal for you, big deal for you, it's okay. Let me just say this. I don't mind disagreements. I don't mind debating. Debating in the comments is fun. I definitely learned a lot from hearing some of your comments, but what I will say is, don't take it too serious, folks. There was a comment, and I'm going to put some of it right here, and I'm just going to read it from my Samsung tablet. Moral of the story is, it says my reasons were lacking to pick a phone, and I just thought that was hilarious. And it kind of goes through each of my points that I gave and kind of gave why my points were lacking. How can you honestly say that someone's reasons are lacking? Honestly, the reason why I got an Android in the first place was because when I had Verizon, they didn't have an iPhone at the time. They were, I think, strictly with AT&T. So that's how long ago that was. So it was just that simple of a decision. It's not that big of a deal. And I think folks in the comments kind of picked on that as well. Not saying I don't want to debate. Like I said, come on with the debate. Just like tonight, I've got my drink and my cigar, just like in the lounge. We like to talk sports, football, all that good stuff. But man, this is one of those things that I didn't realize it was going to be such a big deal. I mean, it's almost like in my anime community, if Goku can beat Superman, or in the motorcycle world is Harley versus Japanese motorcycles. I mean, it's just all kind of stuff. I didn't realize it was so big, but guess what? It's fun. I'm enjoying it. So let's keep that debate going. Let's keep that discussion going, and let's get into some more of these points that I was talking about. So real quick, there was a couple mentions on gaming and things like that and a couple other things. One thing you have to remember with somebody and they're picking a phone, you have to pick what works for you. And this is what used to get me in trouble when I was buying stuff. I would always try to buy the top of the line specs, but not really considering what was important to me. What was my use case going to be? I can get the most specced out thing and only use 35% of the capabilities. I really learned that in motorcycles. You get, the top of the line, the fastest horsepower, all that stuff. And on the streets, you're not going to use most of it. So why waste that money? Get something that you're going to have fun with and enjoy it. So kind of, I take that same approach. There's a point of diminishing returns with every purchase, and I like to stay right at the top of that curve before it starts to dip down. Back to my phones, I had a Note 4 and I had a Pixel. I really like them, and I do like some of the things that they're doing. I like the image processing software that Android has in the Pixel. I saw a commercial the other day where it looks like you could take a multitude of photos and it would pick like the best facial expression from the photos. I thought that was cool. The zoom on the Samsung, I think the Ultra, is pretty cool too. I don't need all that zoom, but it's a cool feature, and they do have a lot of cool things. I do miss the stylus from the Note. That was a pretty dope feature to have. So anybody who's using that, definitely. My brother has, I think, the Galaxy Fold, and he loves that big screen, and he loves the fact that it replaces a tablet, and he has all that screen for YouTube and stuff like that. So whatever your features are that meet your needs, buy a phone for that and have fun with it. Enjoy it. Some people talked about just getting both phones or going back and forth. Until I get sponsored or something like that, I'm not going to be doing that. So we're going to be rolling with whatever I get next for the next few years, unless something changes. But for right now, just like I've got the 12, we'll see what happens next. And another side, I'm not bashing either one of them. I want them both to do well. I've got Apple and I've got Google stock. So if they both do well, I do well. So win-win. So a couple things real quick on the Android life or the Samsung life. The touchscreen on the laptop really is not a big deal for me. That was mentioned a couple times on the Galaxy Books. I think they have a touchscreen now. I think that's better on a tablet. I've got a Chromebook. I think it's an Acer Spin or something like that. I've had it for a few years. It's a 2-in-1 with the touchscreen. I almost never use a touchscreen. I particularly bought it at the time for a touchscreen, and I don't even use a touchscreen anymore. I just use it as a basic quick laptop when I need some quick computing or something like that. And I still use it, so definitely still a fan of it. One thing that somebody mentioned and I thought was fascinating, and I completely forgot about it when thinking about the different things that the different phones do. I was thinking primarily when Samsung, I was thinking about the zoom, but I forgot about the capability to the DeX mode. That's pretty fascinating to use it as a mini computer, if you will. That setup would be pretty good for me, and that would be something that I consider. So one thing that I did find funny was everybody talked about how Apple finally has the USB-C port. I thought that was funny. My Pixel that's still right here from years ago, it had the USB-C port way back then. It's a funny thing. I mean, Apple's not a first mover on anything, and you either take that or you leave that. I don't really care because I'm not trying to have the latest and greatest. I just need it to work. I need it to work well and it have the features I want it to have. And if it's got a little more than that, that's great too. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, leave more comments. I'm actually going to pin the link to this video in the other video. So if you want to jump between the two, or if you want to comment on either one or both, please have fun. Definitely. I'm enjoying the comments. I'm enjoying the discussion. I'm enjoying the debate. I'm enjoying the features that you guys are bringing up because there's things that I didn't even consider. That's definitely fascinating, especially now things that have changed so much in the almost 3 years since I got the 12. So definitely keep that going. Take care of yourselves and take care of each other. I really mean that when I say it, folks. Really do that. I'm going to enjoy this guy and I'm going to take it easy. So you guys do the same.